Hello and welcome back to the 200th YCS here in Utrecht, the Europe edition, of course. Matthew Bell, we're still here.
Yes, Luke Withington. We are down to just the final 8. Everyone else is gone. They're all gone.
We're all sat in the audience now.
Yes, and we are coming down to mostly the nitty-gritty matches. Most of the decks are similar. I think we've got a lot of Sky Striker in at the moment.
Yes.
In fact, this next match will be another Sky Striker mirror.
Yep. I think that's we're going to be seeing a lot of that over the next
It's unavoidable at this point.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty fair to say at this point that it's been proven that Sky Striker is the top deck.
At least for the beginning of the format, it seemed to be the correct choice when people were still trying to figure stuff out. Just it outgrinds just about everything else in the format.
Yeah.
But when you see things like Cyber Dragons getting in, you know the format's not solved yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good thing to mention. There was still a lot of other kind of strange decks, and you know, when you hear people like Luke Parks saying that he thinks that Goki's actually the best deck, just no one solved it yet. That's kind of I don't want to use the word reassuring, but it kind of proves the format is not solved.
Absolutely. This round we are featuring Erikos Beck versus Nico
Schlierkamp.
So that'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Yes.
We know it's going to be a Sky Striker winner, but who's going to be progressing? Because I believe Nicolo, when you did the first test of who your computer thought was going to win.
Yeah. It sounds really like silly for me to say it now, but yeah, the first time that I tried to see who would win, just taking into account their win rate from last season, plus the deck win rate, plus the win rate at the event, Nico was the.
There's a name the computer spat out.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, this isn't done. We still got to consider their matchups and brackets and stuff. But
yeah,
Nicolo's name did come out of the hat first.
Yeah, exactly. And then the next person I think was in our previous feature match. I can't remember his name though. Anyway.
So, how about we get down to it and see who wins between two Sky Striker players?
Yeah, both of these players are ready, and our commentators are ready. Take it away, Oliver Gurman and Tom Payne.
Thank you very much, guys. We tried to put this on the back burner for as long as possible, but now we ended up in that situation where we have to feature a Sky Striker mirror match. You just said those tend to be super explosive and over in no time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which, if anybody still had any doubts whether he's our resident expert, now you just proved that. But to give you some differing opinions, because these guys said, well, Sky Striker seems to be the deck of the format. Yes and no, because we had a couple of other decks that are still in competition, and there were a lot less players playing those decks.
Yep.
Maybe we can bring up the top 8 metagame breakdown for you guys, just to make that very, very clear. It's not the most interesting statistics in the world, but what it says is there's other decks than Sky Striker Pure. If we go a little bit further down, for example, to the top 32, you see that there were 3 Goki decks. And considering that only 80 players brought Goki to the tournament, that's pretty good conversion rate.
Yeah.
So Goki was a good choice to make it to the top 64 or top 32, depending on 64 even better actually. 8 out of 80, so every 10th player playing Goki made it to the top 64. Obviously, or apparently not the best choice to win the whole thing. I could bring up the bracket, I could talk about a few other things, but truth be told, I would really like a break in between rounds, which means we are gonna get our game on and show you the feature match between Erikos Beck and Nico Schlierkamp. Alright, there's Erikos on the left, who has a reputation for doing really well at these larger events.
I don't know his full credentials. I know he won the Greek national championships.
That's a start.
And I know he'd be really upset at me if I said he did really well in the Dragon Duel tournament. So I figured I ought to say that now.
Okay, it wouldn't be a lie though. Nico Schlierkamp, on the other hand, a name that I'm somewhat familiar with. Did Luke mention that he's the favorite in this tournament?
Luke mentioned, according to his sort of...
It's very easy to claim.
Algorithm.
Now that he's in top 8.
I was going to say, yeah, the algorithm takes into account the current win rate of the player at this tournament.
So while the
it's almost certainly going to pick someone who's in
the tops, yeah.
Is doing well.
Nah. Okay, I won't buy that software.
I don't know.
If I'm in the Dragon's Den, I'm not going to give him any money for that. No. I'm going to pass.
So both Nico and Erikos have got their Sky Striker, well, anti-Sky Striker tech in the main deck.
Mm-hmm.
So Erikos has got copies of Heavy Storm Duster and Solemn Strike. hoping to give him an edge in the mirror match. And Nico has got copies of Galaxy Cyclone and Shared Ride. I think Ericos is actually also playing a Shared Ride. So it'll be interesting to see whose your sort of unique choices of mirror match, a preparation for the mirror match is going to serve them better. Or in fact, you do have to draw them in the first place.
Yeah.
Both players running copies of Twin Twisters, Shared Ride. So these are players who are well prepared for the expected Sky Striker mirror match, which is what we're going to see now.
Yeah, Ericos doesn't have any hand traps here. In fact, he doesn't have any sort of negation, so he just has to watch his opponent and go through the motions here.
Yeah, I don't think he's too upset about that. I think he's probably well versed in that by now. I mean, he's playing...
Yeah.
Ericos is playing 5 hand traps, which is really not a lot.
No, 5 is not a lot.
No, if you want one every game, you're probably going to be playing more than 5. So I think he's probably not too upset. I mean, he might be upset when the Shared Ride gets flipped and he doesn't have an Ash to deal with it. And on the other hand, Nico does have an Ash, and I think it's one of the things that Sky Striker players are often doing in the mirror match is holding the Ash specifically for a Shared Ride, because it's a very impactful card in the mirror match.
Okay.
Some players have been comparing it to Maxi. I mean, it's not as good as Maxi because you have to set it for a turn first.
Yeah, that was exactly what was going on in my head right now. I'm like, it's not as good, is it?
But it does have the similar effect that it says every time your opponent does this, you get to draw a card.
It's like the discount version.
Yeah, so it's worse, but it's still up there.
That's why it's the discount version.
Indeed.
So if we look at the player match history of Ericos, True Draco.
They played in Swiss.
Sky Striker Pure, sorry?
They played in the Swiss look, Ericos versus Nico.
In round number 5, yeah. And Nico actually won.
Nico won.
That's something interesting going into this. Sky Striker, then Sky Striker, then Trickstar, Cyber Dragon.
He also played Dinker Boy, who's also in the top 8.
Yeah, also beat him, who was playing Sky Striker Pure. Then round number 10, the first round today. This is how his day went like. He won against Altergeist. He won against Sky Striker Pure. He then kicked out Din Kabui. Sorry, it's a different Din. Din Kabui with Burning Abyss. Overcame Sky Striker Pure, and now he overcame Sky Striker Pure. Oh my god.
No, he didn't kick out Dinker Boy. That was in round 12.
Oh, you're correct, yes. So
no, hang on, round 12. Yeah, round 12 is still the Swiss round.
You're correct, yeah. Din Kabui is still advanced to the top 64 because he was one of 2 Burning Abyss players. A bit confusing. But his entire top cut so far has been Sky Striker Pure mirror matches, and he's been crushing them left and right.
Well, that is going to serve him well for... that is going to serve well his deck list, which is set up to play the Sky Striker Pure mirror match.
Yeah. He only lost one, and that was actually against Nico Schlierkamp. So Nico Schlierkamp might feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, I'd say playing someone that you've already beaten this tournament is probably a good feeling.
Yeah, he's been there before.
I think he's probably well aware that Ericos is a very strong player, so he'd probably rather be playing someone he didn't know and respect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Nico did win against an unknown deck. Maybe the guy dropped before we could enter his deck list because he was only interested in the playmat. That happened this weekend. Then he beat a rogue deck, he beat True Draco, he beat Sky Striker Trickstar. Then he won against Ericos. Then he won against another Sky Striker Pure, courtesy of Marcel Burry from Switzerland. Won against Trickstar.
Also played Dinker Boy.
Won against Sky Striker Pure. Won again. Lost to Burning Abyss in the hands of Din Kabui. This is basically how Din Kabui... we've got to see him a couple more times, I think. Then he lost to Sky Striker Pure in round 10. That was the start of his day. And then he woke up. He was like, okay, I lost this. I lost the one before against Burning Abyss. I now have to win to be in and go all the way to the finals. So... in round number 11, he won against Goki. Then in the mirror match, he won. Of course, he's going to win everything from now on. And then Altergeist, mirror match, and he's now here. So both of these guys have plenty of experience when it comes to the mirror match. They know each other's deck, very likely, from that round 5 match where they went up against each other. So it's very hard to say who's ahead here. Who's like going into this match has the advantage.
So... Nico has been able to resolve a copy of Shared Ride, and even though it only traded for the 1 card, it stopped Ericos getting those, gaining the advantage he would have gained off searching with Shizuku in the end phase and adding a card with Kagari. So I would say, having resolved a shared ride, and now he's going to have the Ashe for Erikos shared ride, I would say that the first game is going to favour him because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, comparing it to Maxi, again, often players found that if one player has the Maxi and the other player doesn't, or in this case their Maxi gets hit by an Ashe Blossom, that would put the player with the Maxi in a serious advantage. I mean, we won't see that play out for a while. It's just likely that Erikos is just going to, at some point, Nico's going to end up with more cards than Erikos, would be my guess. But for the time being, it does take quite a while to see that happen, because Sky Striker are very good at conserving their resources.
Yeah. Not so much at conserving their life points.
It depends on the deck that you're playing against, yeah. But
if they're being forced to defend, they can play defense.
Yeah. So Widow Anchor is a very good card for that. I mean, it negates an effect, but it can also then, taking the monster makes it much harder to damage the life points. It both serves as stopping your opponent from attacking your life points.
Is it fair to say that if that second part of Widow Anchor wouldn't be in the effect text, it would the entire deck wouldn't be as strong, like much worse?
I think, yeah, the pure Sky Striker deck would definitely be a far worse deck if Widow Anchor. It would seriously diminish Sky Striker's sort of problem-solving ability. Yeah. So the idea, so if your opponent has a big board, a couple of monsters, you can take one of them with Widow Anchor and then attack over another one. Yeah. And that can deal with 2 big monsters in one go, which is not something that they would do if it didn't take the monster. Yeah. In fact, it would deal with neither of them.
So Erikos activated his shared ride, but was denied by the Ashe Blossom and
the second draw of shared ride is going to be pretty nasty for Erikos.
Yeah, Nico Schlickamp really cannot complain here so far. This is going quite well for him.
I would say we're just going to slowly see Erikos run out of cards, and Nico is not going to run out of cards. He's going to have more cards. He's going to have more cards than he does right now.
But does more cards automatically mean he wins the game?
Yes. In Sky Striker mirror matches.
In Sky Striker mirror matches, okay.
I would say so, yeah. I would say nothing. Sometimes, weird things can happen, like the Sky Striker deck can run out of all of its Link monsters in the mirror match or something like that. Yeah. But in this situation, there's only been 2 turns, and both of the players are going to have all the resources in their deck. Well, both the players are all going to have the resources in their deck, and just Nico's just going to be able to use a lot more of them. Yeah. So in this situation, I could almost see Erikos just conceding very soon. In fact, he's conceding right now. Yeah. So he's played this enough. So he knows Nico.
Your fortune-telling career is still intact. He doesn't get any more extra advantage waiting a little bit longer to shuffle up, because he's probably seen the entire deck of Nico Schlickamp earlier.
Exactly. I mean, he's played the mirror matches. He knows how this is going to go. It's just a bit sad, I guess. You just kind of, you might be able to play for a bit, but you're just... you've got very little chance of winning that game.
Yeah, but you were correct. Like those Sky Striker mirrors, very explosive, very quickly over. So
you saw that was extremely explosive, wasn't it?
It was.
I think over the 2 turns, there were like 2 monsters special summoned. A couple of them attacked directly.
I would say it was extremely implosive.
Implosive?
When Erikos decided to implode and shuffle up.
Indeed. So Erikos will get the advantage of going first. So we see, although the Sky Striker deck doesn't achieve that much on its first turn, that's because it uses its first turn to set up for its second turn. So that means he gets to have his second turn before Nico has his second turn. So it's still a reasonably big advantage. It also gives you the opportunity to get down the shared ride if you draw the shared ride a turn before your opponent. So you get your uninterrupted turn of searching without your opponent activating shared ride. And if you've drawn your own, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So in the side deck, for Erikos, I would expect to come in a 3rd copy of Heavy Storm Duster, possibly some copies of Mind Crush, and maybe the Artifact Sanctums, a similar card that can shut down, along with the Scythe, obviously, a card which can shut down your opponent from summoning any Link monsters for a turn. I don't know if that's the intention. It might have just been for more explosive decks.
Yeah.
But it might be that he thinks it's worth being able to shut your opponent off for a turn with Side.
So it seems like both of these guys didn't waste any time side taking, or at least not for very long.
Well, you would expect both players to, having played the match about 10 times, know exactly what cards are going in and out of their deck by this point.
I agree, but still, kind of impressive. There's a Mind Crush here.
Yep, so that was one of the cards that was sort of predicted that might be sided in. And that is the Engage that you like to see, and it didn't take Erikos very long.
Yeah, that's the understatement of the century.
To pick that Engage. I mean, I've seen players, in fact, just not even want to show the next 2 cards. It doesn't matter what they are. He's always going to pick the Engage, but you do have to show your opponent. You have to show them just so your opponent gets to see them as well, I guess.
All right, so good start for Ericus back in that second game. He does have a hand trap this time around. He does have a twin twisters. Does he want to set that?
Yes, you do want to set it because it's important to be able to destroy your opponent's cards in the end phase in the Sky Striker mirror match, because the cards you want to hit are things like you want to be able to hit the multi-roll on your opponent's turn, and you want to be able to hit a potential shared ride as well.
And he's basically on autopilot here. All of these moves, they're just like, yeah, this is next, this is next, this is what I'm returning.
I don't think it's autopilot. I think he probably wants to think carefully about what card is ideal to search.
Okay.
So sometimes you might... So the option here... Number one option is to not activate the engage now. So if you don't activate the engage now, then it's not in the graveyard, and then you can search another copy with Shizuku.
Yeah.
But if you do activate the engage now, you get the engage search now, and you can have something like a Widow Anchor to set up, or to interact with on your opponent's turn, but then you don't get to search another engage in the end phase. But if you search another engage, then you either have to set the first engage in your hand, or have two copies in your hand and risk getting blown out by a big Mind Crush.
Yeah.
But if you set it, then it's vulnerable to spell and trap removal. So there's a number of different options of activating the engage, setting the engage, or keeping it in your hand, all of which have their own pitfalls.
Yeah.
So he's chosen the sort of fairly safe play, which is just to activate the engage and then not be greedy enough to want to search the second copy.
Right. So he passed play. Nico drew. He's got a full card full of spells and array.
So he's got all Sky Striker cards, so he's definitely got a lot of options available to him. So this is the thing with Sky Strikers, although he's not going to be able to do 100 things this turn, but the order in which he does things is very important here, in the order in which he tries to bait out Ericos' responses. It can be very, and this is the sort of thing that might set apart a very good Sky Striker player from an average Sky Striker player. So we see the fairly standard play, and this has actually turned out very badly for Nikos here, actually, I would say. Hitting the engage. Normally engage is 100% what you want to hit off area 0. However, now he's shown his opponent he's got an engage in hand, and he's got another engage in hand. So if Ericos chooses to activate the Mind Crush here, then it will burn Nikos pretty hard, because he'll lose 2 copies of engage from his hand, and that's pretty devastating because engage is a Sky Striker player's favourite card. And here that is exactly what we're going to see.
I found some website that lists history of the players, and it says that Nico Schleckamp actually went to the top 32 in YCS Rimini, as well as in Prague, top 64 at the German National Championship, top 32 at the European Championship in 2016, and then top 16 in YCS Rimini. 2017, he advanced to the top 64 of the German National. So he's been in the top cut a couple of times.
He knows what's up, but it doesn't look like he's got this far before.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
He still seems fairly comfortable.
Yeah.
He might be reeling from that double Mind Crush hit double engage, though.
Yeah.
And now Ogre on the multi-roll, and all of a sudden, Nico's running much lower on cards than he was before. So he still has access to the Hayate. So the Hayate can still, even though 2 engage were ripped out of his hand from a single Mind Crush, drawing that engage is so powerful because it means you can pick it up off the Kagari.
Yeah.
Whereas if you hadn't drawn the engage, you can't pick it up off the Kagari. So here we see Afterburner, and I think it's more that he wants to deal with, even though Afterburner says destroy a monster, secretly you want to destroy the face down. And Ericos has got to choose whether he wants to chain the Widow Anchor now.
What would you do?
I think I would, but he's considering not. I don't know, if I'm totally honest, whether he has 3 spells in his graveyard. So if he doesn't have 3 spells in his graveyard, then it doesn't really do that much, chaining the Widow Anchor. But if he does have 3 spells in his graveyard, then I don't know why you wouldn't just chain it and take your opponent's monster away from them for the time being.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's that worried about the potential... I don't know why he wouldn't chain it just to negate the effect of Hayate, to be honest. Just to take away that option of Nico being able to attack directly with it. But it doesn't look like Nico's going to be doing that anyway.
Yeah,
so.
maybe he knew that.
Maybe he knew that, but I don't see why not just negate your opponent's
Maybe he
monster
was
effect.
fortune-telling that.
Maybe he was.
He's a good player.
I mean, maybe he's giving Nico the opportunity to make a mistake, in his opinion, of attacking directly.
All right. So where does he go from here, Nico Schleckamp?
He's definitely got more than 3 spells in his graveyard. So
Yeah.
It's question here now. It makes it harder to choose when you've only got the one card, so the other card you draw is quite important as to the sort of shape of your hand.
Yeah.
So here it's actually quite hard to make the decision because the card you don't want to like draw the card you search or something like that, and the card you draw, how effective it's going to be might very well be quite dependent on the other card.
Did we see what he drew? Is that the monster,
I think
right?
he picked up
Ash Blossom.
Yeah, he drew an Ash Blossom.
Yeah.
I don't know why that prompted Erikos to activate Ray now. There might be a reason for it, but I don't know what that reason was.
So Nico gets to poke his opponent, tiny little bit.
That's a reasonable size poke.
Not a tiny little bit then.
So I think he picked up multi-roll, but you do have to activate the effect of multi-roll first before your opponent is no longer allowed to. It doesn't it has to go further than your hand to stop your opponent from responding to your spells.
So how big is that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring for Nico Schlierkamp?
Well, the question we have is what's in Erikos' hand?
Yeah, it's
and
just
there
a twin
is
twisters.
a twin twisters and a multi-roll. So the answer to that is quite big.
Okay.
It depends what is hit off the area 0 and what comes off the top of the deck. So it might be that Erikos has more than enough juice just to plow straight through the Ash. The Ash is going to negate one thing. So twin twisters can take out any possible face downs for Nico. And then we've got multi-roll, which can send the field spell and possibly pick up another Ray. And we've got the field spell effect itself as well.
Yeah.
So, but Twin Twisters obviously does require the discard. And has he just drawn it? No, that's a multi-roll.
No.
What's he drawn?
He's drawn Sky Striker. Is it Ray? Is that correct? No.
It does say Ray.
It does say Ray. Yeah. But is that the draw for the turn? Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't in his hand before, so it must have been the draw for the turn.
So I should stop looking at three things at the same time. It doesn't work.
So that hurts a bit, I would say. Because now, although he has got the Ray, in order to try and continue his plays, he knows the Ray is going to be shut down by the Widow Anchor. And now the Twin Twisters is useless because it cannot destroy the... it can't be used because then it will just have nothing left.
Sure.
So
you don't want to do that
the Ray
either.
is going to get answered by the Widow Anchor. So between those things...
Erikos is sitting in a
bit
very
of a tight
sticky
spot.
situation, yeah. He's going to check his graveyard, his opponent's graveyard, looking for something, but Sky
So
Strike
that Ash actually really hurt, but it did entirely depend on the card that he drew. So if Erikos had drawn Engage, then the Ash on the Widow Anchor suddenly would have looked quite... Ash on the...
on the Engage.
Ash on the, what's his face? Area 0 would have suddenly looked quite pathetic, because then the Engage would have resolved.
Okay.
But in this case, it's going to be quite impactful.
Well, sometimes you cannot pick what you're going to draw, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Both these guys.
So I think maybe Erikos may have been better off setting the Twin Twisters in the first instance. And maybe he was hopeful at setting the Twin Twisters and trying to use Area 0 to trade it for a different card. But I suppose the Twin Twister is a very powerful card when you have when you resolve multi-roll. So I can understand why. And the Ash coming down was the only card left in Nico's hand. But really, I can see this going a bit pear-shaped for Erikos because he's run out of
Good
resources.
Options, defense, anything. He's got nothing. So Nico Schlierkamp, a player who's come closer before, a couple of times, top 32 card, top 64 card. Now looking to advance to the semi-finals of the largest European tournament of all time. Immediately removes the headphones, immediately looks up. It seems like it was letting out a little bit of a prayer there and waiting for the crowd to react to this match. And they were giving him credit. Credit where credit is due.
Credit where credit is due.
So now kicked out one of the regulars on the circuit, so to speak, with Erikos Beck, another Greek player that came very, very far, made it very deep into this tournament. Nico Schlierkamp, however, advances to the semi-finals. Let's talk about it really quick in our post-match analysis. Like we said, very strong showing from Nico Schlierkamp. A bit earlier, we were looking at the way that the bracket shaped up, and we said there's nobody left except Bowden who has won a larger tournament, international tournament. Erikos, of course, won a Greek national championship, and even if we counted that, he's now out as well. Which is not my way of saying I'm so proud of myself, but I'm really sorry for him. But it seems like we're going to have a winner at this tournament who's never won a gigantic tournament like this before.
Except for maybe Bowden.
Except for maybe Bowden, but I don't believe in Australians taking on European events. No, I don't.
That's fair enough.
Sorry. So,
Bowden.
what do you make of this? It was the first mirror match that we saw. It didn't take as long as we feared.
Unfortunately for us, we didn't see one of these sort of legendary 2-hour Sky Striker mirrors. Instead, we saw a very tame...
It was mostly thanks to both of these players, like, really knowing what they were doing.
I mean, I think it was in part thanks to Erikos. I think some players would have just tried to win that first game anyway, even though they kind of know they're not going to, or maybe they just aren't experienced enough to know that game was unwinnable, and then they would have tried it for another 15 minutes, and the second game as well, they might have tried for a bit longer.
But Erikos did play against Nico Schlierkamp before, so he knew he's got the skills.
He knows he's got the skills, and he knows when someone starts resolving a couple of engages in a turn and you're not going to do that, then I don't really think there's much for it.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that we need to talk about?
I mean, I think, if we wanted to talk about, we didn't actually see any of the sort of anti-Sky Striker tech in either of the players' decks, which is, I guess, maybe a bit disappointing.
Yeah. What cards are you thinking
So
of?
I was thinking of the Solemn Strikes, which is unique so far that I've seen to Erikos' deck.
Yeah.
And in Nico's deck, we have the Galaxy Cyclone. So it's a card, one of the better answers to either your opponent's field spell, because you can't destroy it with Twin Twisters or MST, because it'll be sent to the graveyard and you trigger its effect, but Cosmic Cyclone
just works around
banishes it. And same for multi-rollers. It's the best way to get rid of a Sky Striker spell card, because then it doesn't go in the graveyard where it can be reused. So we didn't get to see any of those. We saw it mostly being decided by the powerful cards of both players' decks.
Nico Schlierkamp's next opponent might see that, and he's not going to be too happy.
Indeed.
We can quickly check out the bracket. I'm just going to try to bring that up for you guys. This is what it looks like at the moment. You can see we definitely have a German guy advancing to the semi-final. Am I correct in this? No, we just had Nico just advanced.
Nico, that's one German.
And then we got Jonas Koschel and Din Kabui, and that means another German is going to make it to the semi-finals. The other brackets are looking a tiny little bit different. We got Andreas Vrelos from Greece, who's playing Sky Striker Pure. He goes up against Sven Rebmann, who we saw in our feature match before. He's playing Sky Striker Trickstar. And then, as we mentioned a couple of times, we got Bowden Temnik from Australia, came all the way. For some reason, no jet lag, no nothing. This guy must be on Red Bull or something. Playing Altergeist, and he's going up against Christos Morikis, yet another Greek player in the top 8. 3 out of 8 from Greece. Very strong showing.
In the earlier feature match against Goki.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Bowden, yeah. And Christos Morikis plays Sky Striker Pure. Did we feature him?
Yes.
We did feature him as well. Yeah. We featured everybody, almost everybody.
We featured everyone. We've done well.
The only guy that we didn't feature yet is Jonas Koschel. I think this is the point in time where we need to apologize to the guy that is still undefeated in the tournament.
Is he? We don't actually know the result of that yet.
But since we've now been on the right side of the bracket, we just saw Nico Schlierkamp, there's a very, very, very good chance we're going to go to the left side of the bracket, which means we're either going to see Jonas Koschel or the last Burning Abyss player in the tournament with Din Kabui.
The last Burning Abyss player.
Yeah, and he's going to go up against Nico Schlierkamp or, against Sven Rebmann or Andreas Vrelos. Probably Vrelos.
I don't know.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's been a long day, not just for us, of course, also for you. So thank you for that. We're going to now take you over to Matt and Luke, who have even more analysis about this exciting top 8 match.
Thank you very much, Ollie. We are here with our feature match winner, Nico. Congratulations.
Well played, man. Well played.
Thank you.
That was a really big win just there by Erikos. Erikos has got quite the record behind him.
Yeah, I already played him in Swiss, like round 7 or something.
You beat him then as well, right?
Yeah.
So that
beating him twice, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was nice. Really important round now.
Yeah.
So how have you been feeling about this tournament so far? Like, your deck seems to be very much set up to beat the Sky Striker match, is what it looks like.
Yeah, I just mained it completely against the mirror match. And it's always great against Altergeist and Draco. You only lose to Guki and Hero or something, but I side 13 hand traps, I think, against or 12, and main 3.
Talking to you.
So, sorry.
That's okay. What do you think of the trophy? This could be in your hands.
It looks really great, better than all the others before.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. What's your favorite part about it? You like the card being in the
I like the card being in the center. That looks very nice, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
I am wondering if somebody who wins that is going to be trying to get the card out with like a screwdriver, and it's like, just don't do that.
You do
just
get another one, by the way.
You get a playable version.
Yeah.
So going into that match, how did you feel about it? Like, that seemed pretty commanding that you got game 1, but game 2 seemed a little bit trickier for you in the opening.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in Sky Striker mirrors in general, because I tested it a lot before Nationals already, so I pretty much know how to approach it. But still, like, just brings up very difficult situations sometimes. And yeah, it was like, I had it better in both games, I think, so it wasn't much to do for him.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a little bit cagey with the Mind Crush where he got the double engage, and then he had the...
what's kind of unlucky, like to reveal the second engage before I could activate the first one.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's just bad luck. And then he had the Ghost Ogre for the multi-roll as well.
Yeah, at this point I just thought all the answers, but he was pretty much out of cards because of his opening hand was pretty bad.
Yeah, so he basically had those 2 things to shut you down, but then no follow-up, and you just capitalized on it.
Yeah, and then I killed him next turn. Like,
yeah,
there was nothing to do for him.
It looked pretty good. I mean, what are your thoughts on the remainder of the top 8 competitors? I'm not sure if you saw the breakdown of all the different decks that was there.
I didn't see it yet, but one of my teammates is still in top 8. He's facing BA right now, so I don't know. Like, BA is a very hard matchup, so I'm scared of that.
So you're hoping your teammates done the heavy lifting?
But don't face it in top 4. I can only face it in finals. So we'll see.
That's good. That's good.
For you. Just beat it in the finals is fine.
I have something interesting to tell you. So I'm a big fan of statistics, and I do quite a lot of like
he's a massive statistics nerd, just so you know.
Yeah, what Matt said. And I wrote some code earlier to try and predict the winner of the tournament, and you actually appeared in my top 5 players to win the tournament.
Oh, that's nice.
Based on your deck that you were playing, your win rates from last season, and how you were doing in the tournament at the time. It was during, I think it was round 10 or 11.
Yeah, it was just towards the end of Swiss. We ran it to sort of see if it would figure out who would be the most likely person to win. And then Luke's like, I've still got a few things I've got to tweak on it. I'm not happy. I'm missing some of these kind of parameters I want to factor in. But your name was the first one that came out of the hat.
That's that's nice.
Yeah.
So maybe it helps. Like,
or we've just jinxed it. One of the 2 things has just happened.
I was trying to decide whether I wanted to tell you, but I feel like it's going to make you want to win it even more. Prove the computer's
He's just going to walk out and he's just going to be like, oh, so right, and he's going to be dabbing and everything, and it's just going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Well, as we close this up, do you have any people you want to give a shout out to? People
I would like to give shout outs to my team, E-Man Games, and my local Trade and Trade. Yeah, and everybody I'm here with, basically.
Well,
awesome.
Well played. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
thank you.
Good luck in the next round.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to be right back with the next round of YCS 200 Europe Edition. See you.